Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Adi, and today I have another special guest and another awesome Series 10 team report. I'm joined with Brady Smith. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just kind of relaxing. I had a very easy day today, I can't lie. So it's kind of nice to round it out with something a little bit more productive.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And of course, the other notable thing about this tournament was it was in person. I know you've been playing for a long time, so you're used to in-person tournaments. But it must have felt good to be back in like an in-person venue playing Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure, man. I would actually like to say, I'm very happy that I won, or at least a more veteran player won. Because I'm not gonna lie, while I was getting there, I was kind of like thinking, I was like, oh, what if like a newer player to win? It's like it's nothing like that would have like shattered my whole world, but it's just like it's kind of reassuring to know that some of the skills that I've learned from being more experienced have obviously translated to this point going forward. That was a big part inside my head. Like events are completely different from IRL or from online tournaments.
Mm-hmm. And so, for those who don't know you, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Yeah, sure. So I've been playing Pokemon since 2014, or I guess okay. So I've been playing singles since I was like in like seventh grade. Like I was a child. But like I started playing competitive Pokemon inside of 2014, specifically VGC, like the Video Game Championships. And then in 2015 I started competing. I won my second regional championships, albeit that wasn't the seniors division. But it was kind of like cool to like just practice for a tournament and finally kind of won that. And from there like I was kind of like a mid tier player around like 16, early 17, but then I kind of had like this moment in like post Worlds 17. I was like, if I don't win a regional championship before the end of this season, I'm done. Like, because it's just like I was kind of getting defeated, but and then eventually I kind of just like buckled down. Started looking at a lot of my plays, and then I've since then kind of just been winning a few tournaments I played in. I guess just I don't know. I've just been playing for a while. I have a lot of experience with the game, and I love it. Like, it's definitely my favorite video game I've ever played.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been Gen 7. I think was when you really took off, and it was really great to see. I know that's when I started. So you're one of the players. I started after Worlds Gens in 2017. So you're one of the first players I saw win regionals and do really well. And so it's really great to have you on the channel now after watching you play and having talked to you a lot at events.
Yeah.
And so of course this event was the first in-person event in New York. It was run by Joe UX9, and you are not from New York. So do you want to tell me a little bit about like the events and how you got there?
Yeah. Okay. So kind of a funny story. So basically, my girlfriend is from New York or New Jersey, but like the whole like New York, New Jersey area, the tri-state, I guess. But basically, so I was planning on seeing her like around this weekend. Joe made the announcement like maybe a week before the tournament. I was not expecting it to be like that quick. So I was looking at flights. Originally I was going to EWR, but then it was like 200, $300. I was like, wow, that's way too much money. I can't justify doing that, especially because I knew the prize pool would probably be around like 100, 150, maybe 200. It was around 150 was the obvious number. But anyways, basically, I kind of was like defeated, but 2 days before the tournament, there was a good friend of mine, James Evans. He actually hit me up and he was just like, hey, if you'd like, you could fly to Philly. Maybe it's cheaper, and then I could drive to come pick you up from the airport. So I checked the prices. It was like $100 like round trip. I was like, wow, like I couldn't say no to that. I had like housing cover. Only thing I really had to cover myself for was just like food, like water, like I guess just like drinks. Whatever like tournament fee, but basically I was pretty much just set like from there I was like, wow, like that's perfect. It was like $100 to get in and there. But yeah, I guess just like the first day of the tournament, it was kind of cool. Like I guess just I don't know, like just seeing everyone who you haven't really seen like a while, plus some new faces of people you may have seen online, but you didn't really know it was them until you either played them or talked to them a little bit more. Like, oh, I've seen you online, like do blah blah blah, or like whatever. Specifically like Lenny, like that was like a shocker, to be honest. Like just seeing him. Lenny got 4th inside of the standings. I played inside my top 4 set. It was really, really cool to just kind of like put a face to his online person. I've never seen him before. So that was definitely kind of shocking. Like, obviously I've known Paul Chua for like a while. So like, seeing him there, it was kind of cool, like talking with him. But I've seen him at so many events that like, that wasn't as shocking, I suppose, but it was still kind of cool seeing him there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool just looking at this top 8 to see. I mean, you, Paul, Sohaib, you've been around the block, and then we also see like a pretty good mix of new players with Siddharth, with Lenny. I don't think I had met Dante before. I wasn't there, but I don't think I have met Dante before. And they did really well too, getting 2nd place. So it's really cool to see this. All the new faces that are coming through after having played online for the last year and a half and really like honed their skills. You wouldn't expect new players to be this good, but they're really not new players at this point.
Yeah. The only new aspect they have is just they haven't competed inside of like an IRL tournament, like something that's just kind of in person. They're still good players, but there is still a big learning curve. It's definitely a different kind of ball game. But once you kind of get the ropes down of like a tournament structure, like getting enough sleep, not getting like nervous at the tournament, you'll kind of like get it down. Another thing I wanted to say, because this was not mentioned inside the post interview. I guess the audience is apparently not informed about this. So Dante's Urshifu was actually banned inside of all of top 8, and he made it like all the way through there because he just messed up the stats on like the Urshifu in the team sheet. So for newer players, I want to explain this. So at IRLs, we do this thing called a team sheet. If you mess this up, there's no being forgiven. Either you lose that Pokemon, if you're lucky, you might get a game loss. But if you mess up the stats, something's never going to come good. So triple check those. Make sure they never get messed up. Because that's exactly what happened to Dante. And to be honest, Dante's Urshifu was very good into my team. So him not really being able to bring that definitely hindered the matchup into my team. If you saw like the top, or I guess finals, I would, to be honest, like I could kind of autopilot it because Incineroar just like did so good in the rest of the team, without Urshifu. So that was kind of sad. Like knowing that, like, I wish we kind of would have gotten a fair game, but at the same time, it's like he messed up his team sheet. So it's like two sides of the coin, I guess.
Yeah. It is one of the worst feelings to have a judge come over to your table, like you're in the middle of a game and they're just like, "Hey, you got to forfeit right now." Like it's the worst. Double check your team sheets, write them ahead of time, triple check. It's worth it. Trust me. But yeah, I mean, your team was very, very cool. And so let's talk about the team. Do you want to talk me through the team building process or how you got the team?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to break this back. It all started a few months ago, actually. So James W. Beck, he's been using this recent team on back-to-back battles, which was Eviltal, it was Eviltal Kommo-o. But he told like our little friend group we have with him like months ago about it. He's like, "Hey, this Kommo-o stuff is like really, really good." So I kind of suggested because like in my thought process, I was like, okay, well, like he was playing with Eviltal. I was like, why would you play that with Eviltal whenever you could play it with Zacian? Because Zacian not only complements it in the sense where you break fairy types for Kommo-o. So obviously, if you have like a Zacian on the board, and if they had like, let's say, a Whimsicott, could normally Moonblast Kommo-o, obviously you just shred it with Behemoth Blade, and it's just out. It's out. Like it's out of the question. And like that was the initial like kind of process with building that. I knew I wanted to start around Zacian and Kommo-o. So like eventually, I'm gonna be honest. Like I tried a few different versions. I never like really like threw these 6 together. These 6 are James Beck's 6. I had like a few different versions I didn't really feel comfortable with. He actually hit me up a week before the tournament, and he passed me his pace, which was kind of like this but with different spreads. He was like, "Hey, like remember that Zacian Kommo-o idea you said?" I was like, "Yeah." And then he just passed me this. And he was like, "Hey, I think that this could win. It's really good." So I kind of doctored it up, changed some of the EV spreads, optimized some. I think I hurt others, but it was like kind of a comfort pick for me, just stuff that I got really comfortable with. But anyways, I guess back to what I was saying about the synergy between Zacian and Kommo-o. So it's not only does Zacian break the fairies for Kommo-o, Kommo-o also beats Incineroar, which is a fairly common check to Zacian. You know, like obviously you could like hit it with a fighting move, but you don't like to be intimidated whenever you could be at +1 or neutral versus like -1/neutral. Basically just whenever like as a Zacian player, I usually try to eliminate the Incineroar as quick as possible. So Kommo definitely helped with that. And so outside of like offensively complementing each other, defensively, one of the best defensive synergies, or I guess defensive types inside the game is the Fairy, Steel, and Dragon Core. And obviously Zacian sharing 2 of those, and Kommo having 1 of them. It was just a really good starting point. And then on top of that, I added Fire, Water, Grass, or I guess James added Fire, Water, Grass, and then Electric, because it's just a good typing. Which, to be honest, Regieleki was not very good. Maybe a Thundurus could be a little bit cooler. But yeah, Regieleki was barely brought, except I brought in 1 set, which was in my top 4 game. Albeit, I'm glad I did bring it because it did help. But I that's all. You know, like I would have rather had another Pokemon in that slot, though. I can't lie.
Mm-hmm. And so I think James definitely released some videos recently with this team as well. I saw that, and so that'll be linked in the description. Also, if you want to watch more gameplay, Joe, all of the games from this are going to be on Joe's Twitch channel, and the VOD, so you can watch that there too. And all that will be there. So if you want to watch this gameplay, there's so much gameplay of this team that you can watch. But do you want to talk about the individual movesets for these Pokemon and why they're built the way they are?
Yes, I would love to. Okay, so I'll start out with Kommo-o. So Kommo-o, it's kind of a funny EV spread. This is one of the ones I definitely messed up on, but I kind of made it a little bit better. So basically, Kommo-o was originally max HP. It was max HP, 204 defense. Rest in Spadef. I to be honest, I switched it down to 204 so you can maximize leftovers plus Grassy Train recovery because it is divisible by 16. So what that means, set in my mind, is I set up a substitute. At the end of the turn, I get 1/8 of my health back, and then I protect, and I get another 1/8. So I'll be at full HP basically after I set up a substitute. That was the logic behind it. 204. Honestly, you don't really need that. You only need 196. 196 hits a little bump. But James had 204, so I did not want to touch that in case I had an offensive calc. But after I downed the HP, I just Spadef dumped because I was like, maybe living something could be kind of cool. And albeit instead of finals, it actually did. It did a lot of work, like on the special side. So I guess that special bulk was kind of nice, but you probably don't need the 204 defense. Maybe just down that just to hit the bump to like 196, and then you can kind of like go off of there. As for Zacian, I'm going to be completely honest. Like I kind of know what the spread does, but I don't fully understand it still. Like this is one of my friend's spreads that was like edited. I don't even know how I got this spread, to be honest. Like so like originally, okay, right, whenever there was one Zacian, my friend Serapis or Jeremy Rodriguez turned on to me. It was like max HP, 76 attack to hit the bump. Some defense to make it like live neutral Behemoth Blade will 3 KO you. It was like 68 Spadef and like 100 speed. 68 Spadef, it's something with Kyogre's like water spout. I believe it was like you live the water spout, something like that maybe. And it was like 100 speed. But I just saw this and like my builder, it was like 132 speed. I was like, huh. Like I don't remember like ever having this, but it was good. Like it was just a little bit faster, and it kind of did help because I also spent a lot of Zacians inside of practice. Yes, but Incineroar, this just lives a Moonblast from Xerneas at +2 timid max special attack. This is a much older spread I got from 2019 / it was 2019. Wait.
This is the default spread from 2019.
Yes, yeah,
2016. No, there wasn't an Incineroar in 2016.
Yeah, no, yeah, there was. I was thinking about that, and I was like, wait, no, yeah, there was no Incineroar. But okay, yeah, basically, all the spread does just lives on Moonblast from Xerneas. Also, with the 4 speed, you hit 84, which is really cool with Suicune, because you outspeed base 100s inside Tailwind. So that was previously good for Kangaskhan, obviously. Not so many Pokemon at base 100. I suppose Entei is, but most of them are going Scarf anyways, the Charm stuff at the moment. So but it was just kind of nice to like my speed tier. It was something I was comfortable with. I don't really think that was that important. And I do believe that you need 236 and 20 defense. Because with Figgy Berry, I believe that guarantees the live for Shifu Surging Strikes. I think maybe with Citrus, you all can like plug down the damage calc. It was something like that. But basically, if I was anyone else, I would just take out the speed. Probably go like maybe like 244 HP and probably like 20 defense, and then 236 SpDef, because you'll still get the Moonblast calc, but you also get the Urshifu calc, which is kind of important. Yes, I guess. So Throat Chop was kind of chosen. Originally I had Lariat, which ironically Lariat probably would have been better because I fought Eternatus spam setup in the finals. Throat Chop was just added to kind of stop like sound-based moves such as like a roar against my Kommo-o, roar. I guess just like snarl for even if they're snarling my team for some reason, or obviously mostly like party shot though. But yeah, so that instant wasn't really very creative. Not gonna lie.
Right, but when you have speed investment on the Incineroar, Throat Chop is really good because you get to stop other Incineroar from parting shotting, especially since you have like substitute on 2 poke. Well, Kommo-o substitute doesn't really matter, but substitutization, they can't parting shot to the substitute if you just Throat Chop them first.
Yeah, exactly. Which was like part of why I'd not go with soundproof. So I was kind of debating soundproof to stop like roar, but I was like, well, I can just throat Throat Chop them with incense. So I was like, I can kind of get the best of both worlds between Wong and Mungus, or at least. Yeah, like you completely wall Mungus. Like it was actually kind of cool because in practice, like against a Mungus, like I got so many boards where like again it was Kommo-o / Suicune against an Amoonguss plus X, and then like Amoonguss was just sitting there doing absolutely nothing. Like and then both my Pokemon just ignored the Rage Powder. I could just like spam the other slot. So that was kind of cool. But anyways, so Suicune, this lives a what is it? Okay, you definitely live a Woodhammer at -1 inside of terrain, grassy terrain. I want to say a -1 grassy glide, 2 hit or 3 hit KOs you after 1 turn of grassy terrain recovery. You can probably check that, but I'm pretty sure that's what the defense did. 52 speed lets you outspeed Calyrex instead of Tailwind, which is obviously very important, so you can get off a Snarl before it attacks. 92 SpDef, that was kind of just a dunk, so I didn't really know what else we could need to do. But I know for a fact you will live 2 Astral Barrages. I know. Wait, yeah. I'm pretty sure. After a turn of Grass Train Recovery, especially with Snarl, you can definitely live that. It was something with Astral Barrage. I knew you live a Moonblast well pretty comfortably, actually, at +2. So I would say drum beating was really cool in theory, but I did not pull a single Kyogre to really see if it was worth it. Honestly, knockoff would have helped in my tournament run specifically, but I can still see the reason for drum beating. Drum beating was kind of cool because it was like, I guess, speed control plus just the ability to ignore Serena and with Kyogre. So if they think you're going to click Grassy Glide into them, they switch in their Serena, you can just click drum beating, and obviously it does more damage. Kyogre's on -1 speed, but most importantly, you bypass Queenly Majesty. Regieleki, very straightforward, had an extra sash on the team. Sash is the best item in the game, in my opinion. I will hard fight that. If anyone, like, if you have like a free sash on your team, unless your team is like ridiculously bulky, I would just say slap on a sash just on like one Pokemon like Kartana, anything that could just use a sash. Just like if you're getting O-code, you're not getting O-code anymore. So getting another turn off can be very important. But yeah, I guess, okay, so I went over, all those. Another thing, I went with substitute Zacian, which, it's like, people are like, what do you mean with substitute Zacian? Everyone goes substitute Zacian. No. Player Rough actually like rose up like a lot over the weekend. That was really annoying for the team. I cannot lie, because I had to position very well with Kommo-o. But yeah, like I honestly, like I feel like this team, you could try out Player Off on Zacian because it would be kind of cool, just to kind of like hit like Palkia, because Palkia, like if I was able to hit Palkia for like with a Player Off, that would have helped out a few or one Swiss game, which actually was one of my only game 3s. But yeah, and then also I guess Kommo-o, honestly, sub is not really needed. It was kind of cool with like Grassy Train plus lefties, but it's every time I was behind a sub, I was just thinking like, wow, why didn't I just set up like an iron defense or something instead of like subbing? So maybe that could be replaced. And another thing that could be kind of cool could be going expert belt Kommo-o, or not expert belt. What is it? The black belt Kommo-o. Because that can actually with enough defensive ease, that can let you Oko Incen without being at +2. Like of course, especially defensive Incen. It was like I believe it's possible to get the KO if they're like careful or something like that. Or maybe I didn't see that right, 'cause now I'm thinking about that. Maybe it doesn't sound right. Check that. If that's a possibility, maybe you can go that. But lefties plus Grassy Train and setup spam is that was really cool. That was the main point about Kommo-o. Also, but really quickly, moveset on Suicune. Scald was just chosen because of stab. Tailwind is obviously speed control for the team because I know there's speed control outside of Electrowebs with Regieleki. Snarl was a really cool third move because it let you kind of have a better Calyrex matchup because although I wasn't really struggling with Calyrex between like Regieleki, Incin, previously knockoff on Rillaboom and Zacian, that was what I normally go to. But just going with like Snarl kind of let me like really, really beat Calyrex without much issue. And then Roar was chosen to stop setup stuff. Like for example, Eternatus. If like my opponent finals led with Eternatus and started setting up Cosmic Power, I just would have knocked out like one Pokemon. And like basically just weaken the rest of his team while he was setting up, and then just reward him out to like get rid of his boost. Like all that turn he wasted setting up, which would have been useless. So yeah, I guess that's all the unique move choice I had. And my little justification for him.
Yeah. And so I want to go back to the Kommo-o because that's obviously the most unique Pokemon on the team. Kommo-o, I think someone used it in the North American Players Cup and got like top 16 in Series 9. And that's where it really caught my eye. And I was like, wow, this thing might actually be good because we're used to Body Press being good, right? But Body Press has been a good move for a while. But Stab Body Press does a lot of damage. Even the Kommo-o doesn't have the best defense stat compared to Ferrothorn, compared to like Sakataka. With the Stab boost, it's doing so much more.
Yeah, like I mean, the thing is, right? It's like I believe it's base 125 defense. And the thing is, what's really cool about that is that well, I guess just the move Body Press in general, like Body Press Pokemon, I think it's a crazy mechanic because it's like not only by you investing inside of your defense stat are you obviously decreasing your damage output or decreasing damage output onto physical moves onto that Pokemon, but you're also increasing your attack stats. So it's like you're getting so much efficiency for that. So it's like, you basically like the best of both worlds. You're doing like maximum damage, getting maximum defense, and then you're also well, I mean, you're saving EVs. Like I guess what you could invest into speed, you can invest into Spit F, or whatever else you really wanted to do. But it's just like it feels like you only need to invest inside of like, I guess you're getting like an offensive option and a defensive option with like one little dump into EVs, which it was really, really nice. But yeah, like you said, Stab Body Press was definitely the reason why it was picked, and also it's a dragon type, which complements Zacian extremely well. I guess just like it. I feel like Body Press just like it's the way to go on it. Like originally people were thinking like maybe Throat Spray could be kind of cool, but whenever we started to realize just how good Body Press is, not to mention it gets Iron Defense, and then suddenly it's like a defensive win con, also an extremely offensive like powerhouse once it starts getting going. So it was really cool, putting a lot of work for sure.
Yeah. And so, like you mentioned, Zacian are starting to run Play Rough now. It's, I think, maybe like 50-50 whether they run Sub or Play Rough if you run into a random one on the ladder. Do you think Kommo-o is still good, even though that this metagame is starting to change a little bit?
Yeah, so actually something I've been kind of using on ladder, I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and say some of my secrets. Basically, I've been using a Will-O-Wisp, Calyrex plus Kommo-o, because like the logic was if they're Play Rough, just Wisp them. And then you can like if you set an Iron Defense after Wisped, it does not do enough damage. So maybe you can combine that with like a Fake Out Pokemon, just fake them out, set another Iron Defense, and then suddenly you out damage them. So like ironically, Zacian is not, or Player of Zacian is not a one-stop shop in order to check Kommo-o. It's like you check it in the turn that it's in there, in the sense I can't set up. But if I were to go for a, say, Protect, kind of blow your turn, or switch out into maybe Instant to tank the Play Rough, to take 55, and if you're like a more defensive Instant, you could take so much less. But I would just say it's not like it stops Kommo-o, but it's a little bit annoying to maneuver around. So 2 calcs I would like to bring up. If you were at +2 on this Kommo-o and the Zacian is at neutral, you live the Play Rough. If you are at +6 defense and the Zacian's at +1, it does just about 50% with Play Rough. In which case you're at +6, Body Press just nukes them right back. So it's like I noticed with Play Rough Zacian, it's not just like, because oftentimes that's their only check for Kommo-o. So they have to have Zacian on the board the turn Kommo-o is on. It's kind of like does Flare Blitz Instant stop Iron Defense Ferrothorn? It's like it can, but it doesn't. if it gets going, it gets going. Then it's like before you know it, you're not doing enough damage to out. I guess just out damage it, yeah. To stop what it needs to do. So those are my thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. So it sounds like you probably have to be a little more careful when you're setting it up. But I mean, if once you get rolling, it's still really tough to beat. And then the other thing, you did a really good job of covering basically every single move. The one move that again is also a little bit is up in the air for Zacian is Sacred Sword, and people are running close combat. Why did you run Sacred Sword over close combat?
To stop like setup stuff, to be honest. It's more of a comfort pick. So back instead of 2017, I played a lot of like Substitute Cortana, and this plays kind of similarly to that, where in the sense where it's like you get to like +1, sit behind a sub, and then just like spam like a stab move, and then have like Sacred Sword to break stuff that it's like not only is it good coverage, but with obviously but that. Okay, that's the point. Between close combat and Sacred Sword, I like my Zacian bulky. I understand you can get more damage with the close combat, but I don't play Zacian to where I get subs at neutral. I always try to stay at +1. So I like fight to get that. And that being said, I would much rather prefer getting up a +1 Sacred Sword behind a sub than I would a close combat, because it's like although it's like yes you're doing more damage. I can just knock out Ensign with a +1 Sacred Sword. I couldn't really justify going like close combat, because I don't like the defense drops, to be like, quite frankly. It's just like it's like I like how bulky Zacian is. That's part of the reason why I used it, because you can switch it into attacks, and it's like you'll recover some grassy terrain, and it's like with double fake out, like just you can play this like team super defensively, and I feel like close combat kind of limits those options, where it's like if you want to knock out Ensign, you'll have to be at -1 defense the next turn, in which case if you can be kept in check by something else, whereas with Sacred Sword you don't have to worry about that. So I'll happily trade damage output for like longevity of the Pokemon.
Yeah, that makes sense. It definitely feels like the people who are in close combat are probably most likely to run player off, just because that type of Zacian is just going to be switching in and out more. It's going to get intimidated more often. Whereas if you're using substitute, you're probably going to stay on the field a little longer, and you want to keep your defenses if you're staying on the field.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so that's the team. Do you want to talk me through how you approach some of the more common matchups?
Yes. Okay. So the mirror, ironically, like the original thought process behind it was just like go Kommo-o, Zacian, Ensign, and then your pick of Rillaboom or Suicune, depending on like their variant of mirror matchup. However, okay, so like I guess what's ironic about that is that Kommo-o was supposed to be like such a good check to Zacian, because most of them did not go play rough, but almost every Zacian I played during that weekend had play rough. So it was like that was why you went with Kommo-o, but then it took me like losing against Paul Chua, who's using it, player of Zacian, to realize how to approach the matchup. Because I thought it was a free win at first. I was just like, oh, he has no way to stop me from setting up Iron Defense. He got me game 1 with player off. Game 2, I kind of realized like a position better, but then game 3, kind of just like he just played much better, to be honest. Like I remember like there was a really specific turn where I clicked like body press him and Munga switch in. I was like, okay, this is over. But yeah, I guess. So yeah, for the mirror, it's definitely a Zacian, Kommo-o, Ensign focus game. As for Calyrex, I would say leave Kommo-o on the bench, because it can't touch Calyrex. You never want a board where Calyrex cannot be threatened, but it threatens you. So don't even set yourself up for that kind of board. Inside the mirror, I would probably go, or inside of the Calyrex Shadow Rider matchup, I would go with Zacian and Incineroar for sure, because Zacian is you're restricted, obviously, and no order, by the way. I'm just kind of saying Pokemon. Zacian, Ensign, / Suicune. Those are the 3 you want to go with, like 100%. I would say. Last one could honestly be a toss up between Rilla / Regieleki. If you have knockoff on Rilla, then I could justify that much more. But if they have nothing that can outspeed Regieleki does very, very good into the Calyrex Shadow Rider matchup. And to Kyogre, I noticed that having Suicune was really nice, because you could match their Tailwind, while also snarling down Kyogre and maybe using an occasional roar to misposition them if they. But that doesn't want to come up. It's kind of cool to have an option. That can happen like once on ladder maybe. So against like Kyogre, I would definitely say go Suicune, Regieleki, Rillaboom, Zacian, not inside that order. Basically, it's like you have 2 Pokemon to. I guess two Pokemon to offensively threaten Kyogre. With Regieleki and Rillaboom. although Rillaboom it loses to Serena. But basically, like if there's Serena, maybe you can have an argument for Ensign. But in general, I would definitely say Zacian, Suicune, and Regieleki, and then Rillaboom / Ensign could be either or. 'Cause you just want an extra fake out user. What other matchups are there that's kind of common right now? I'm trying to think.
So there's Xerneas. Xerneas has kind of dropped off a little bit, but that's
Yeah.
definitely still in the metagame.
Oh yeah, okay. So for Xerneas, if they're okay, so you could go Kommo-o inside the Xerneas matchup if their team is like ridiculously weak against it. I'm talking like maybe like Ensign. Basically, it's like if every Pokemon but Xerneas gets hit by super effective fighting move, definitely you could have an argument for Kommo-o. But in general, definitely bring Zacian because it hard beats their restricted. Definitely bring Suicune because that can snarl / roar at the Xerneas from setting up. The last two, I would usually, if I was like autopiloting, I would say Ensign, Rilla, because you have Fire, Water, Grass, Fairy, Steel. It's just a really like solid mode, and like also you have like a lot of opportunities to click Fake Out Roar, like Fake Out Sub, or even like Fake Out Parting Shot, reposition, like just a lot of the double Fake Out and like substitute / parting shot. You have so many ways to kind of just always get the better in the trade. That's how I'd approach the Xerneas matchup. Regieleki could be brought, but it's not very optimal. It's like you could bring Regieleki maybe if they have like an Urshifu Water and you just want to like knock it out. I could see Regieleki being there, but at the same time, Rillaboom kind of does the same thing, so maybe not. Also, there was another Pokemon that was kind of Groudon. So Groudon, Cherrim, and Entei. I'm still trying to figure out that matchup. I cannot lie, but I will say Kommo-o is the key there. I know that for a fact. Because obviously, if they're bringing both Groudon and Entei, that's 2 Pokemon that cannot hit Kommo-o, and Cherrim, that's 3 Pokemon that cannot hit Kommo-o. So it's more so a matter of trying to not let them burn your Kommo-o and getting up a like substitute / iron defenses, like basically start setting up in front of it. That's like your Zacian. I don't know if we go Zacian in that matchup. I cannot lie. It's because it's just fodder. Like it's maybe like Suicune Kommo-o could be a really cool kind of mode into it because like you can set up a Tailwind and start setting up in front of the Entei. And then I honestly don't know if you need to restrict it, but like just force Kommo-o there as much as possible. That's definitely how you win the Groudon matchup.
Yeah, those teams are just built to beat Zacian teams. They like have playable matchups and everything else, but like if you're running Zacian into those, it's so difficult.
It's because they also picked up like double fire, so like they have like Instant to intimidate you, and it also hits you with like Flare Blitz and Sun. Entei to just make your life absolutely miserable. Cherrim just to like help those Pokemon that make your lives miserable. And then Groudon, which it's like, you can Behemoth Blade it for like 70%, but then you're eating up a P-Blades. It's like you don't want to do that. So it's like maybe honestly Zacian's probably not even worth it into that matchup, I would say. Like just being completely honest. Like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of the cool thing about how the metagame has evolved. People running these really, really specially defensive Zacian because it was really good into everything that wasn't the Zacian mirror. And now you have this team that just abuses all these really powerful physical attackers, and Zacians are getting punished because even though they're bulky, they aren't that bulky. I know yours is a more mixed bulk, but and then, just like really, really the Entei specifically is just like, I think I've seen Entei on a lot more teams recently, on Xerneas teams, on other Zacian teams, on Calyrex teams. It's everywhere. And so, Zacian's really got a target on its back. And it's cool that you managed to innovate and find ways to beat a lot of those. But like Kommo-o sounds like it does really well into a lot of the things that people are running into Zacian.
And also another little kind of just gravy on top. Kommo-o having Overcoat also helps on the off chance they are Venudon, because it just lets you not go to sleep. But yeah, like that was like a little like extra kind of, just a little chef's kiss like on top. But yeah, wait, what's up?
You got to pick between not getting put to sleep and being immune to Sludge Bomb.
Yeah.
You did have that option.
Yeah, but like it's like I guess especially like as your opponent, like people could honestly go Bulletproof, which could be. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're a Venusaur, you're never clicking Sleep Powder into a Kommo-o, but I can imagine there could be a world where a Bulletproof Kommo-o behind a substitute does effectively the exact same thing that a Kommo-o with Overcoat does, into like Venusaur, except it's like immune to another thing.
Right. Like, if you're a Venusaur, are you clicking Sludge Bomb into the Kommo-o? Like, are you willing to do that?
Yeah, it's like it's definitely something you got to think about. But I guess like back to like innovation. So I've kind of made like a little promise to myself, although I did kind of go against this. This the other day. But I've never entered inside of a tournament without Zacian. Because I looked at this Pokemon's stats, I looked at this Pokemon's ability, and I looked at this Pokemon's typing, and I was like, why would you ever use like anything else? It's like it's so good. Like I feel like no matter what, like at the end of the metagame, like there's going to be like no consistent way to like have 100% into like a Zacian matchup where it's just like because Zacian teams will like, eventually start to evolve over time to where they can beat the Groudon stuff more consistently. Which Kommo-o is obviously a very cool adaptation. But I feel like there's someone could come with something like much cooler than I have. And then next you know that Groudon team doesn't even beat Zacian, the one thing it's supposed to do, and then it'll fall off. Whereas it's like basically that's what's kind of like the trade-off. Like by using Zacian, it's proven it's such a good Pokemon. You have much more flexibility in the rest of your team and how you want to structure it because Zacian does not need much support to build around it because it's just such a solid Pokemon. Whereas with Groudon, it's like you need to build like a Sun team. You're kind of restricting yourself into what you want to build. So ironically, using like the best Pokemon as your starting point, it actually arguably frees up team building creativity and like your choices of your Pokemon, your movesets, like how you want to tech out your team to deal with a lot of this other kind of stuff on ladder. But yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, like it feels like every day we're seeing a new Asian team pop up that's doing a lot of like cool stuff, and this one just being no exception to that.
Yeah.
And so with that, that's a pretty good overview of the matchups. Of course, you did face some weird stuff in the tournament as well. Do you want to talk me through your tournament run and maybe a couple notable matchups from there?
Yeah, actually. So round one, I played against 76 VGC. Hold on. I want to say Ian was his name. I'm terrible with names. 76 VGC. That's the online name. So basically, played against him. It was a very, very close mirror. Except it was obviously I had the adaptation of Kommo-o. However, he had Incin, Rillaboom, Suicune, and Zacian. But he also had Lando I. So the Lando I was kind of annoying because I couldn't bring Regieleki because I was not going to trap myself into a Lando I in game. And it's like, if I brought both Incin and Zacian, that's two Pokemon that do not want to take into Earth Power. And then Kommo-o doesn't tank it well because it's like it does like 70. Like you never want to take for no reason you never want to take a neutral Earth Power from Lando I because it does so much damage. So I remember like I lost like my first game because of that, and I was like, oh no, like I was like so worried. But inside like games like 2 and 3, I had to like just kind of buckle down and like just like play. I had to like get into like a better like mental state. And then basically just like kind of like get used to the read patterns. Because like it was a lot of like coin flips, especially because I was Zacian speed tied, which was very very annoying. I cannot lie. But yeah, so yeah, I guess like round one that was how I got that win was just kind of positioning better. I think my round 2 was streamed. Oh, this was so sad. So my round 2 opponent, it was actually not his first tournament. I've never seen his face, but he said he's been playing for a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. That's awesome, man. I'm glad like we have like some familiar face here, I guess. Even though I've never seen his face. But basically, I remember like game 1. I somehow like I don't know what like I had to call like 3 or 4 turns like right at the end of the game to like have a shot at winning, and like I somehow like just got myself into a position where I had to make one more read and I got it right. And I was like, okay, sweet. Game 2, I vividly remember because the way this played out was so bad. I switched in like my Rillaboom into like some super effective move, or maybe it was Instant. I switched in one of my pivots into a super effective move, and it just got knocked out. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, so he sniped it. Like he read the switch out, and I was like, okay, I need to make a read here. So I remember like I clicked like Flare Blitz into like something that resisted it. And like as it was like about to like a switch out, because I was reading like a switch out. But right as that happened, I just saw an error message on my screen. I was like, what just happened? And like I just like looked at him. I saw his face. Like he was like, oh no. And then he said like the switch overheated, and I was like, what? Like, I've never seen that happen once. Like, I have a very, very bad switch. So I thought that was my end. I looked at it, I was like, oh no, did I just lose this game because my switch like crashed? No, it was his. And then like Joe just like looked at me, like I was like, what happened? And he was just like, well, you get the win because your opponent's switch overheated. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, man. Like that, it sucks, but you know, a free win, like, you know, competing, of course you're going to take those. But no, it's like, I kind of wish I could have earned that though. I can't lie. But I guess that was just like some, like just to kind of show you like how the weekend went in terms of like luck I was getting. Cause you know, like, just like some days you have it, I guess. Other days you don't. Just try to have it more than you don't. Round 3, I remember I played against Paul Chua. I talked a little bit about this. It was the Zacian mirror. Except he had play rough on Zacian, which I did not know about. So here I was just setting up in front of the Zacian. I like got up like 1 iron defense. And then like, because I think I like faked out Zacian turn 1, and I got up an iron defense with Kommo-o. I was like, okay, cool. And then like, you know, I clicked like parting shots. I was like, okay, he has to pick between setting up a sub, or close combating knockout instant. But then he just went for player off on Zacian and just bopped it. And I was like, oh, okay. That was the first one I saw in the day. I was like, okay. I did not expect him to have that. I looked down, I was like, because I told him I was running Kommo-o. I was just like, are you serious? Like, he just smiled. He's like, oh, I thought you knew. Like, no, you didn't. You didn't tell me. But then like game 2, I remember like I got like something like, also he did not have Thunderwave on his Thundurus because he clicked like Eerie Impulse. I remember he clicked Eerie Impulse like turn 1 of game 1 to my Kommo-o. I was like, does he not know my moveset or something? But then like he told me after the set he thought he was clicking he thought he clicked Thunderwave because he does not know Japanese. So he just like clicked Eerie Impulse turn 1. I was like, what? And that was the game he won. So like, it was like I was just like, I thought he thought I was gonna go for a Clang scale, but I was like acting. I was like, oh yeah, like I guess that makes sense. You know, he's trying to scout out for soundproof maybe, or so you know, like whatever. But yeah, and then like game 2, it was pretty clean on my end, and like game 3, he just stunted on me. I remember like every time when I went for a super effective attack, he just switched out and like a resisted Pokemon. I was like, oh, I didn't know what to do. Like I should have played Kommo-o behind Tailwind much smarter. But yeah, he won that. Next round I played against Tommy D. Tommy D? I forgot. Like
DeRosa?
No, I believe that's it. Yeah, long-haired guy. He has a beard now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely DeRosa. So really quick prep versus game. I remember like he beat me in Ultra Series 2019 using like some Mega Beedrill Psy Spam team. I'm not get beat by the Beedrill. I got beat by the Psy Spam. I'm gonna let that be on record. Basically, I remember it was like every turn I switched an instant, he just went for this like for the light that burns the sky to the other slot. And I was like, I can't get this right, man. Like he's in my mind. But yeah, so it was really cool to pull him. I mean, it's kind of scary because I was like, oh no, I know this guy's really good. If you lost again, you didn't have a 100% shot at cutting, so I was like, I need to win this. Basically, Entei was so hard. I remember like basically game 1, I just let my instinct go down to a Hydro Pump from like Palkia like turn 1. Because I was like pinned down like between like what was it? He switched in his Indeedee as I tried faking out the Palkia. He just switched in Indeedee, went for Hydro Pump, hits it, and I was like, okay, well, bye Ensign. This is gonna be really hard now. But I was kind of looking at game 2. Game 2, I remember like I just kind of I think I had timer stalled in that game. I remember I crit a Behemoth Blade and it did like 70% to Palkia, which I could have just Sacred Sword it next turn. I'm pretty sure Behemoth Blade and the Sacred Sword knocks it out, but still, I remember like seeing his reaction kind of told me he was playing a little bit more until after that, so I kind of just like went off of that. And then so like game 3, I figured he'd be like really aggressive. I remember like there was a key turn where it was instant inside of like Trick Room with my Suicune plus another or Zacian behind sub. And then he could have protected, switched out. It was like a -1 Palkia. But I read that he'd not go for protecting, try to break my sub on Zacian. So I just doubled down Entei. Once Entei went down, he had like no way to really break Zacian. I kind of just was able to win off of that. And then next round, I played against the guy I played against in finals, the Eternatus guy. I was just like, okay. I saw his stream game, so I knew his moveset, where he did not have a dragon move. So I was like, okay, like Kommo-o could be kind of cool here. I just like Kommo-o'd him like both games, just like kind of like just started setting up, roared him out with Suicune, got like +6 and just like body press everything. And then yeah, the rest of my sets can be found on stream. Like top 8. Oh, actually, no, they cannot. Top 8. Sohaib. I played against another Zacian mirror. This one I play rough, but I didn't know he had play rough, but I had a feeling because here's exactly what happened. He faked out my Kommo-o turn 1, switching to Zacian. I was like, you would never make that play if you're not about to play rough right now. So then like I just protected, switch into my instant to like fake him out and get up an iron defense. Then I like protected next turn, party shot it out to like get him down to like -1 against my +2. Basically like I just whenever you like that sixth sense, go with it. It's always right. I swear. Like whenever you like a feeling like you wouldn't make that play unless this like it's probably right. Yeah, and then my top 4 and final set can be watched on twitch.tv/JoeUX9. So if y'all want to check that out, definitely check that out. But yeah, I guess that was my tournament run. It was nice and over. Actually, I do want to say one more thing at the beginning of the day. So I was running very late, and 2 of my Pokemon would not lock in. Like it was like for some reason it's said my Incineroar and my Zacian are both illegal, and I was like, oh no. I thought that I thought it was completely legal. However, it was because I was registered for another tournament in which, you know, restricted and like Incineroar were like banned. So like I got there, I had my team game. I did not know what to do. I was freaking out. Like my girlfriend already like wrote like my team sheets. Like I was just like, oh no, like I already submitted it. But and like the guy like told me, he's like, yeah, your Pokemon are illegal. Blah blah blah. And like I was just like see if you can fix it. So I was like 5 minutes late for registration, but I finally figured out after like trading like a few different Pokemon, begging people for like different versions of their Zacian and Incineroar, and realizing those were all like illegal. I was like, wait a minute, there's no way all of our Incineroar Zacians are illegal. I looked at it, realized I was registered inside like this tournament cup, so then I just like exited out of it, and then I got in the tournament fine. I was like, okay, like that was such a relief. But yeah,
That's funny. Yeah, I mean. That's awesome. Again, congratulations on winning the first New York City local of 2021. So you mentioned at the beginning of the video that you thought that newer players were going to struggle a little bit because there was a pretty big difference between playing in person and online. Do you want to talk about some of the bigger differences and maybe some of your tips for playing in person?
Yes, I would love to talk about this. So first tip, I would say, biggest tip for me, I would definitely say try, like, if you lose, you lose. Like quite frankly, it's like if you lose, you can't do anything about it, man. Like it doesn't matter if you got hacked out at your +6 thing, that crit, your whatever. If you lose, you lost the game. Like you cannot change that. What good will getting upset over that loss do? If anything, it hurts you because it hurts the rest of your day, and you're stuck there. You're stuck there until the end of the day. So if you lost like round 1 to something you really didn't want to lose to, that sucks. But just suck it up and try to win. Like it's like you're there to win. Don't let that one loss let you lose more. That's the number 1 thing. Number 2 thing, I would. Okay, you're there for like the day for a while, so definitely hydrate up. Not too much though, because obviously you're gonna have frequent bathroom breaks if you do that. Like that's another thing. Is like if you're mid set, you know, if you're in your own house, you can just, you know, bring your Switch to like the bathroom. You're like, okay, like blah blah. But like if you are like at the tournament and like you have to go, like that sucks. Especially if you're trapped inside of like a 20-minute like timer stall game, like. It sucks, man. Like seriously, like anytime you go to the bathroom, go. Like if you're thinking like, oh, do I have enough? Can I hold it? No, just go. That's another thing. So also if you start to like get like any kind of like nerves or anything, something that really helped me was gum and also breathing exercises. So like specifically like this one breathing exercise I do is called the 484. It's basically where you breathe in air for 4 seconds, or breathe in as much air as you can, fill up your lungs, hold it in your lungs for 4 seconds, take 8 seconds to breathe it out, and then breathe it in, hold it in for another 4 seconds. Basically what that does is that it kind of levels back down your heart rate so you can catch a breath and just kind of, you know, realize like you're at a Pokemon tournament. It's kind of like level yourself back down. Because whenever you get nervous, whenever you get emotionally invested inside the game, that's whenever you kind of start making like sloppy plays. Whenever it's like you're like whenever you start thinking about everything that's not the game, it's like, oh, like I could lose because of this, or you know, it's like, oh, if I lose, I won't cut, even though I really want to cut. Like if you start thinking about everything else but the game, you will not be playing your A game. And that'll be very apparent. And I guess like also like at events, like it also helps whenever you find people to talk with. Like seriously, like in between rounds, even if you just lost to something you really don't want to lose to, even just like venting like a friend, just like, oh, I lost to this, blah 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 blah, I should not have lost. It sucks, blah blah blah. Like all that. You're gonna meet a bunch of people like that as well, like at these tournaments. But like, it's just like it just kind of like let them get it out and then just be like, oh, it's okay, just stay in your A game. It's just like kind of like find your little group of friends. It makes these tournaments much more enjoyable than just being like a loner, like inside like the corner, like listening to like music in between rounds. I mean, if that's your thing, sure, do it, but try to meet as many people as you can, man. Like really, it's just it's you're only there for a weekend, so make the most out of that weekend. Okay, yeah, so hydrate up, nerves. Oh, another thing, bring headphones. Like, this is a very, very underrated one. It's loud inside there, especially sometimes whenever you get TCG players with VGC players in the same venue and they're not starting. You'll hear like a bunch of noises like across the room, like anywhere. For me personally, I get really distracted by like just like really loud noises. So I can't focus at all. Like maybe if you're Superman or like you're different, maybe that's not your thing. But basically, headphones just kind of helps you like whenever you, at least for me, because I'm able to like just only focus on the game and what's in front of me instead of everything else. Also, some players swear by a notebook. I don't personally take notes because it's like, I guess it's all up here. But like essentially like just having a notebook to reflect back up onto, like you can get like their movesets, all that stuff. It's never bad to take notes, I personally don't do it, even though I probably should, but I've never taken notes, even in school or anything. So like, but yeah, so I don't know, like, but yeah, people swear by taking a notebook, so definitely use a notebook.
I'm a note taker for sure. But yeah, I mean, those are all definitely very valid. I think that especially like, I think one of the biggest differences is that it's so much easier to lose in person and not feel bad about it. Like, first off, you're just gonna be talking to your opponent. I love talking to my opponent after my match, win or lose. I know some people when they lose, they don't really want to talk, but like when I lose, I'm very happy to talk to my opponent. And also like, I don't know. So like today I lost my World Cup set like at 10 a.m. and it sucked because I got outplayed. And then I was just like, okay, now what? Like I have the rest of the day ahead of me and I'm just in a bad mood and there's nothing to do. Like it's so hard to be productive after that. Yeah. Whereas same with like a tournament, you just like, you sit there and you're like, okay, now what? Whereas if you lose in person, first off, talk to your opponent. You can watch these other matches. You can talk to your friends. You can vent a lot easier. Don't like make it a habit of complaining too much, but like everyone has to do it sometimes, and it just like, it's so much easier, in my opinion, to like lose in person, and it feels better. So yeah, that's like the biggest thing for me. And yeah, so, I mean, those are my thoughts. I think that maybe I'll do a video that talks more about like the differences between in-person play and online play, especially if we get like locals announced. But I just have so much more fun playing in person. It's just a totally different experience, and you get to meet all these fantastic people. And yeah, I mean, I'm just happy that we have starting to have an event here and there every so often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, Brady, do you have any final words or shout outs that you want to give?
Yes. Okay. So I guess not really. Actually, yeah. Okay. I'll do shout outs first. Okay. So shout outs. Obviously everyone in the tweet, James Beck, King Villager, well, I guess I'll just use their names. James Beck, James Evans, Stephen Mia, Kylie Chua, Joe UX9 for hosting, obviously. Gazpacho, that's my little online group of friends, like the one where it was like where James was in, that I was talking about earlier, that gave me the team much earlier. Yeah, okay, so that's also for no reason in particular, but I'm pretty sure he'd appreciate this. Shout out to Paul Chua as well. Okay, so shout outs done. But I guess just like final words. I would like to say you'll instead of like whenever like you play inside your first like IRL tournaments, it's going to be a bit of a learning curve. Like, and then you might get defeated and think that, oh well, I can't really translate this to IRL tournaments. You may pick it up immediately. Don't get me wrong, but if that does happen to you and you start to feel the former there, definitely don't beat yourself up, because it's a learning curve, just as it was to learn Pokemon. Like, whenever you started playing, unless you were like a wizard at the game, you were probably not like a 1700s, 1800s player right off the bat. That probably took a lot of experience to get. But just like that, you'll get more experience with these IRL tournaments as they start to come along at a higher frequency. But yeah, I guess that's all I'd really like to say.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely true. You talked at the beginning about, you know, your struggle at the beginning of your time VGC. I know it took me a while to feel like I've gotten to the top of my game and haven't really had in-person tournaments to show it off at. But you know, it really is a different experience. Again, I'm just so excited to have events back whenever they do come back. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Congratulations on winning this awesome event. And yeah, until next time, I will see you all later.